Well, let me ask you this. So basically you're saying that it started with a greater understanding of the more infinite nature of
Yes.
your own existence, and then a sense of almost being, I don't know if imprisoned is the right word, but contained within this realm, even though you know that there's so much more, and it's like this physical barrier that we all have to deal with in the human condition. And then you began to make new and exciting discoveries that could help yourself and people. So my question is do you consider that this was a gift or a natural evolution of your own quest, or a combination of both, or how do you think you got from this this point of being in a place where a lot of people are, to all of a sudden opening new doors and propelling yourself to really some of the forefront of the conscious movement?
I think I pestered the universe so much that there was an answer, and it was like, just give her something to do. And it is really interesting because the work creates a foundation, and I'm teaching people about foundation, so you teach that which helps you the most. But in that foundation, I have found my greatest freedom. So it's a lot of fun. It's been a lot of hard work, and now there's much recognition coming for the work. Recently, we are now part of a curriculum in the Integrative Psychology Institute in Moscow. We're building bridges. We are in an alternative or complementary medicine college in Israel. We're starting to be noticed that we have something that can be part of curriculums. It doesn't change the sacredness. We're building bridges.
Sure.
I've always had an eye on going mainstream, because this information, this understanding, it's for everyone. It's for everyone. I believe we're all practical mystics, and that we can actually have a good time at it.
Well, we really don't have time in this time and place in history to philosophize about stuff. We've got to, as a species and as individuals, we've got to take action. We've got to move forward in a way that's a lot more than lip service now, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. I'm right there with you. There's a lot of talk about this 2012 time frame, and I don't know what that will be, a measuring, an opportunity, but in this moment I feel like people are really under a lot of tension, and I liken it to remember when we sometimes in school would wait to the last minute to do an assignment, and it's almost as if collective consciousness knows that, and we're really working hard to finish this assignment, and I'm excited about manifesting and demonstrating what we know is possible, and that's the joy of learning more about quantum physics. I had an opportunity to take part in an event in October in England with Lynn McTaggart, who's doing the intention experiments, and Sir Rupert Sheldrake, who talks about the morphogenic field, and Bruce Lipton with the biology of belief. It was really wonderful, and I enjoyed being there because I like demonstrating that what we think is possible, and that's what we're doing with this work. We're demonstrating that what we think is possible, we can do. As you start to understand the lattice, you will understand more about how to communicate with the language of energy, how to communicate what we think is possible and bring it to this dimensional reality.
Now, I'm just going to ask your opinion about this.
Sure.
We have what we call the human condition. You spoke of it briefly. And then we have this wonderful new understanding. And a lot of times I find myself wondering, how much can we take advantage of what we are beginning to know before we run into limitations of the human condition that prevent us from going further? Or are those limitations there at all? Is there a barrier that says, okay, you can understand the energetic nature of the universe, but there's only so much in your realm you're going to be able to do with it? Or can we literally transcend beyond our existence as we know it?
To me, that's a great question. Again, understanding the system in your energy anatomy, the dynamics of your own energy, and how to direct your own energy, this opens the doors to pushing back limitations. There's always limitations. I mean, we push back what we consider limitations, we open new reality, there's going to be more limitations. But indeed, at this point, to keep a consistent effort, to keep seeing if we're living our truth in our daily life, if we're demonstrating what we know is possible with those that we work with every day, that we live with every day. That to me is the first place to start, with the human limitations. And when you start to demonstrate that, then you can also do this in other places. I mean, we travel all over the world. And here we are, we come in from our country. I was in Venezuela in November of last year during the referendum change. And it was amazing these people, our leaders are at odds. There's a limitation. You know, the leaders are at odds with one another, and yet through understanding energy, through understanding ourselves as whole being, we can, that's a limitation that I would like us to expand. We can build bridges of understanding through this work, and that expands limitations. We could talk about limitations everywhere. We have them inside of us, and we have them outside of us. And so it's constantly, I think, the joy, now that we understand, that enlightenment is not this, we wear white robes, even though I'm wearing white pants today, and we're not sitting on a mountaintop contemplating our belly button where everything is just Om. Enlightenment, there's that wonderful Zen saying, chopping wood, carrying water, before enlightenment, after enlightenment, chopping wood, carrying water. In modern day life, we're living our lives, and we're moving our boundaries of what we consider to be enlightenment and bringing that into our daily life.
Let's talk about the conscious movement for a moment. You've
Sure.
been involved in this. You were doing conscious when conscious wasn't cool. You've gone through your evolution and your own designation of your concepts into what you do now. And you've really faced a lot of very interesting, happy occasions, and then you've really faced a lot of, I don't want to say ridicule, but just really not so positive reactions from people that are supposedly kind of beyond that negative way of doing things. What do you think of the whole conscious movement now, and where it's going and where it needs to go?
I would like the conscious movement to be renamed New Thinking instead of New Age, or Expanded Consciousness, or Community of Consciousness. But for the past 2.5 years, as I've traveled around the world, I've also held community meetings. And I've been speaking to those of us in this community and asking, requesting that we treat one another with more respect, that we be more mindful that each one of us is making an effort to expand consciousness. Recently, we developed a program for business people to help them apply some of the quantum ideas to their businesses or organizations, and using the lattice. It's called the Lattice for Organizations. And something that was said to me by business people was, when we touch the culture, when we touch this community, sometimes we're just so amazed at how cruel people can be with one another in this community. I understand we're developing, I understand that we're evolving, and that sometimes the stresses of that, it might not bring out the very best of who we are. But I've really asked the community to start thinking about how we can be more supportive of one another, how we can be more professional. I'm very comfortable with the work that I've brought into the world, and I'm also very comfortable looking around and seeing other people's work and saying, wow, that is really great. I'm not threatened by it. It's like, and here we are, we're the people that say, we know how connected we all are. And I think that we could demonstrate that just a little bit better than we do now.
So yeah, it's like, hey, we're all interconnected. I'm sorry if I just kicked you in the teeth.
Right.
I have this self-destructive streak.
Exactly. Very well put, Ron. Very well put.
Yeah.
And something that was interesting, after the very first meeting that I gave, asking for this, and it was like with questionnaires and asking people to think about how we can support and become more of an effective culture, because we're not helping ourselves right now. We can see the possibility for change, and how do we affect that change? And right after, an hour after I gave that talk, interesting synchronicity. We didn't cause it, but there was a fire in Sedona. It was the one that lasted for several weeks. And when I returned to Sedona from my home, I could see every day this smoke over Sedona. And it took 3 days, and finally I got the message, and it was this place that's also been called a New Age or New Thinking Mecca. Here was this giant smudge over this beautiful, beautiful town saying, it was like a wink, yes, you can clean yourselves up. You can do this. Let's move forward, because there's so much to do in the world. And I believe that we can bring in an energy that will help anchor this change that we know is possible on the planet.